everyone, and to Professor Casarao.
Hello.
Today, I'm going to report about my financial analysis on Phoenix Petroleum Philippines Incorporated using profitability ratios and trend analysis. So first, let's have a little background about my chosen company, Phoenix Petroleum Philippines Incorporated. So Phoenix Petroleum Philippines Incorporated was incorporated May 8, 2002, and the Securities and Exchange Commission approved its amended Articles of Incorporation in August 7, 2006 from its previous name, Davao Oil Terminal Services Corporation, into its current name, which is Phoenix Petroleum Philippines Incorporated. So the company is engaged in trading refined petroleum products, lubricants, and other chemical products on a wholesale basis, and it is also engaged in terminal services and oil depots and storage facilities and other allied services, mainly on southern Philippines. So now let's proceed to my computation of profitability ratios. So, first ratio that we're going to use is gross profit margin, which is calculated through dividing gross profit over our sales or our revenues. So, the ratios or the result percentages that we get from 2010 to 2012 is respectively 11%, 8%, and 7%. So, all these ratios are all unfavorable since as we can see, the results are very small. Percentages left after deducting from our sales, the cost of sales, is only little, very little, 11%, 8%, and 7%. It is also unfavorable because the gross profit margin for oil companies, or the industry average, is nearly from 15.85% to 28.45%, which is very far from our results. So the second ratio that we will use is operating profit margin, which is calculated using the formula operating profit over sales. So to get operating profit, we have the revenues less cost of sales and less the selling and administrative expenses. So the results that we get is only 5%, 3%, and again 3%, which are all unfavorable because of course, the little percentages that we get as a result, and also because of the industry average for operating profit margin for oil and petroleum companies is from 7.21% up to 13.95%, which is very far, of course, from our results. Third ratio is our profit margin, or the net profit margin, that we get from dividing our net income from our sales. So the results that we get is 3%, 2%, and again 3%, which are all unfavorable because the net margin, or the industry average for net margin for oil and petroleum companies, is 5.16% to 7.94%. So that is the range for profit margin. So next is a return on total assets. So it is computed through net income divided by the average total assets. So the ratios or the results that we get, 6%, 5%, and again 6%, which are all unfavorable because these are all unfavorable since we get average total assets for 2010 using the total assets from the 2011. So these are all unfavorable since this is very small results, meaning small return on total assets. Net income is very little percentage compared to our total assets. So our next ratio is return on equity, which is net income over average shareholders' equity. So these are our results, 25%, 15%, and 21%. Now, as you can see, return on equity are now all favorable because I searched for the return on equity on the main competitors of Phoenix Petroleum Philippines, such as Shell and Petron, and their ratios or their ROE ranges from, for Shell, it ranges from 5.01% to 12.21%, which is the highest, 12.21% for 2007, and for Petron, 2.24% to 8.35%, 8.35 being the highest in 2004. So as we could see, this is very much higher away from the return on equity of Shell and Petron. And I also find this ratios favorable because the return on equity for oil industry and petroleum is from 11.28% to the highest 18.18%. Next is earnings per share. This earnings per share is indicated in the company's income statement, and they're all favorable. We have 44 pesos, 55, and 63. They're all favorable since the industry average for EPS on oil and petroleum companies is the lowest, 31.31. So, let us now go to our trend analysis. On my trend analysis, I use two different computations, percentage change and trend percentages. So, to compute for percentage change, we have to deduct the previous amount to the current amount over the previous amount and then multiply it by 100, so we'll get a percentage. Using trend percentages, you just have to use a year as a base year, having 100% all of the accounts, and then we have to divide the the current to the previous amount. Then multiply it by 100 to get a percentage. So using this two, I've made a trend analysis for income statement, also for the balance sheet, also using trend percentages. So using this, we can see that the revenues is positive in percentage change, positive results, meaning it is increasing. There is an increase. As we can see, the revenues are increasing, which is very good. But when looking at the costs and expenses, it is also increasing in line with the increase in revenues, which is not good since, meaning there is no change. It is increasing, but in line with the increase in costs and expenses. And as we could see in 2011, the increase is actually greater than the increase in revenues. Here in 2012, it is just actually the same, meaning almost the amount of costs and expenses is almost the same as the revenues. As you can see in our total comprehensive income, we have an increasing trend, which is good, but not in 2010, for we have a negative percentage. So, using trend percentage, it's just the same. The results will always be the same. But using trend percentages as 2010 as our base year, if the next years are higher than 100%, meaning it is increasing. So we have a good revenue since it is increasing from 100% up to 200%, but also increasing costs and expenses. But again, increasing total comprehensive income, which shows that the company is really earning. It has profit. Okay, so let us now go to my statement of the problem. So my main problem is Phoenix Petroleum Philippines Incorporated has low profitability. I found this problem in a low profitability using this, through this, my specific problems. I have first, low gross profit margin, which we could actually see in our profitability ratio. It has low gross profit margin, low operating profit margin, low profit margin, low return on total assets, and increasing costs and expenses. So let us now go to my findings. So let us first enumerate, let's first have the my unfavorable findings under profitability ratios from the year 2010 to 2012. So first, low gross profit margin, decreasing gross profit margin because as we recall, we have low gross profit margin. At the same time, it is actually increasing. The trend is increasing. Third, low operating profit margin. Fourth, 2% decrease in operating margin for 2010 to 2011. Fifth, low profit margin. Sixth, low return on total assets. So, for my findings, unfavorable findings in trend analysis, from the year 2010 to 2012, I have increasing costs and expenses. For my favorable findings, I still have favorable findings, even though the company has a problem in profitability. First, under profitability ratios, we have high return on equity. As you can see, using return on equity, we have a very high return. Second, positive percentage result. The company has low profitability, but with its ratios, we have positive results, meaning it is not unprofitable. It just have low profitability. Third is high or favorable earnings per share. As I have mentioned earlier, it has favorable earnings per share compared to the industry average or other oil and petroleum companies. For my trend analysis, we have increase in revenues that we could see in our trend analysis. The revenues is actually increasing. And second, increasing net income. For my conclusion, using profitability ratios, particularly gross profit margin, operating profit margin, return on total assets, return on equity, and earnings per share, and trend analysis through percentage change and trend percentages, Phoenix Petroleum Philippines Incorporated, an oil company in the Philippines engaged in trading, terminaling and holding, and allied services, indeed has low profitability. So for my references, I use phoenixfuels.ph, cliffnotes.com, usbusinessreporter.com, Fundamentals and Application of Financial Management, about.com, gross profit margin, and SGV UANP, study on oil prices.
Boss.
Okay na.